This is Herricks Sports Zone.
Welcome to episode 4 of Herricks Sports Zone. I'm Alex Brosky.
And I'm John Valentini. Today we're going to get right into our question of the day with, is Cade Cunningham a top 5 point guard in the league?
You know, when this question was initially brought up to me, I thought, he's obviously a top 5 point guard. But there are some very good point guards in the league. Just Luka, Shea, Brunson, Halliburton, just to name a few. And me personally, Cade does not have as good of a team around him as some of the other point guards that I just named. But the Pistons are in the playoffs right now. So the way I see it, and I know this is a brief answer, but that's how it is in my mind, Cade brought this team to the playoffs. Without Cade on the Pistons, they wouldn't be sniffing the playoffs in any fashion. And because of him, they're there, they're being competitive against the Knicks, which means he has to be a top 5 point guard.
For me, I think it separates a little bit. I was thinking about it a lot since it was brought up. And obviously, he went from the worst team in the NBA to sniffing a playoff spot, playing against the Knicks right now. And obviously, most of that has to do with him. However, I think, forgive me for butchering this, but Bickerstaff, the head coach, I think Schroeder has done his part, surprisingly. I think the team is coming together all together. While Cade has done all that, it's not specifically because of him. However, when it comes to everyone else in the league, I'm going to start naming names. SGA is better. Luka's better. Brunson's better. That is guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed. I think Darius Garland's better. Now let's get over this. I believe he was 26, 6, and 9. I believe Garland has a better overall stat line. I have Garland over him. And then this is where it gets a little bit dicey, is Halliburton better? Which I believe he was named most overrated player by everyone in the NBA. So I'm actually going to leave him out of this. So for me, it's really between Cade, Dame, Curry, and Melo. And I have to give it to Curry.
Really?
Yes.
Steph Curry?
Yes.
Still?
Yes. And it's not ridiculous. Because hear me out. So again, it's SGA, Luka, Brunson, Garland, Curry. Curry has his down moments.
Yes,
but
a lot.
I know you watch the Warriors. I know you've seen his up moments. Overall, we're looking past stats here. Curry is a better point guard. Because if you look at the stats, straight up, I think he's 5. But again, Halliburton's 4. So we really got to take straight stats with a grain of salt. Steph Curry is a better point guard than Cade Cunningham. He is 6 for me. But he is not a top 5 point guard in the league.
I personally cannot back that up. I love the Warriors as much as the next guy. They are such a fun team to watch. Steph Curry is an amazing player to watch. But when I'm on my phone, when I'm looking at, the Warriors are playing, let's see how Steph's doing, because that's what I'm thinking. 5 points. 1 for 3 from 3 in the second quarter. It just feels mediocre. And then he ends, 3 for 8 with 20 points. Bores me.
You're thinking about all those bad games. That's the problem. You gotta really look into those good games and look at the way he's playing. Look at how he's really just getting past those defenders, as he has been. We all know who Steph Curry is. We all know what he still is doing. He is a better point guard. He's the 5th best point guard in the league. Cade Cunningham is at 6.
You can't disregard consistency as a factor here. Steph Curry is probably one of the most inconsistent players in the league right now. Cade Cunningham comes to play every single game.
All right. And that's not exactly true either, though.
More like Curry.
I strictly believe that Curry is the 5th best point guard in the league, bringing Cunningham to 6, and obviously, a little bit after that, I believe it's like Melo, Dame, all of them.
I mean, me personally, Cade's 5. He's top 5. Definitely.
Moving on, we've been watching the Knicks. Obviously, this is a New York-centered sports show, so we're a little bit worried, to say the least. The Knicks have not been performing up to standard. We all know they're 0-10 against all the good teams, the Thunder, the Cavs, the Celtics. But right now, against the Pistons, Cade and them, they're not doing too good.
No, they're not, and they were lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but they won game 1 after having, that 21-0 run. They did not look great for that whole game. Game 2, they didn't look good at all until the very end where they couldn't even get the comeback. You can't play basketball games like this every time. You can't start the game mediocre, kind of ride that through the third quarter, and then be down 10, down 5, going in the fourth against the Pistons. When you have aspirations of beating the Celtics in the next round, the Cavs after that, the Thunder probably in the finals, if that's your goal, you can't play like this against the Pistons.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it's clear that we are the better team. That's obvious. I think we can squeak by in 6, hopefully not in 7. But overall, we are just not put together. I remember watching the second game of that series, and it reminded me, and then I was watching the Warriors-Rockets game last night, and they looked familiar. The Knicks look like the Warriors, and that is not good. The 3rd seed and the 7th seed. It's just not a good look for us, and we are a better team than that. And I want to go on a little side rant here because people were saying a lot about Brunson's flagrant fouls. He's not a foul baiter. He's doing what he can in that game to get those points, and that's a one-time thing. He's not a frequent fouler.
And also, something that you brought to my attention earlier is that you think that the Knicks should have a more rounded center?
Yes, I think in their bigger positions, those big men, you have Cat, and then you have the whole deal with it where there's Josh Hart and there's OG. OG can slide down to a bigger position, but after all that, there's Mitchell Robinson, and I, as you are with Brett Beatty, I no longer believe in Mitchell Robinson. I think we need to go into free agency and take somebody else, and for me, that'd be a little 1-year deal, maybe even get someone in the draft, but for me, it would be Brook Lopez or Steven Adams, a 1-year older big man who isn't asking for too much.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a superstar, obviously, because it's pretty set in stone next year. It's going to be Hart, Anunoby, and Cat, the forwards in the center.
Yep.
So the center that you are mentioning is going to be someone that comes off the bench in the game, plays around 20 minutes.
Yes.
So yeah.
And that's who we need, honestly.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Celtics, they seem to be steamrolling the Magic right now. The way the Knicks are looking, they can very well steamroll them. And then it's the Cavs. Are they just going straight to the champs?
They might be, because the Celtics are an amazing team, obviously. Last year, they won the championship fairly easily. This year, during the regular season, they looked amazing. They're dominating every team, maybe a little bit on autopilot, but, 3-1 against the Cavs during the regular season.
Yep.
So, in my mind, the Cavs aren't that big of a threat. I think, in my opinion, the only thing that stands in their way will be the Thunder if they get to the finals, which I could definitely see that happening. And we are going to talk about the Thunder a little later, but yeah.
I think when looking at the Celtics and when looking at their matchups, as I said before, they're just going to steamroll their way to the champs, and I don't want that. I hate that idea. But the only person really standing in their way to me are the Cavs a little bit, because even though they are 3-1, the games have been relatively close.
Yes.
They're equal in skill, but I just see the Celtics just steamrolling them in 5 or 6. The only thing that I'm hoping can hold them back a little bit is Tatum has a bone bruise. That should be maybe 2 games, and they're still crushing the Magic, so it shouldn't even matter.
All right, next up, Lakers. There were high hopes for the Lakers. A lot of people saying they could win the finals, but they haven't looked that great against the Wolves.
Honestly, when I was making my bracket for the Lakers, I didn't even have them going past the Timberwolves, and a lot of people, they were like, John, you're an idiot. But I think it's really playing out now because I just think they're not really as put together as some people would like them to be. And also, I think the Wolves, surprisingly, and I had a lot of complaints earlier about how Julius Randle was being a little bit selfish with the ball, how they weren't really put together, but they're really locking in, especially Dante DiVincenzo, love him.
Yeah.
And And I think it's the complete opposite for the Lakers. They're just falling apart. Obviously, LeBron and Luka, they're dogs,
yes.
to say the least. But I've noticed through stats, and a lot of other people have as well, that Austin Reeves works better without them. The chemistry is not there with Austin Reeves. And I think he's actually the outlier in that Lakers team that prevents them from going far.
I mean, listen, the Lakers obviously have two superstars in LeBron and Luka.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, and unfortunately, this is unfortunate, we see during the season LeBron doesn't play like his former self. And Luka is obviously still a superstar. But when LeBron has a mediocre game and it's just Luka playing amazing, you're not going to get very far like that.
Yeah. I think overall, I have the Wolves in 5. Moving on to the Warriors. I truly believe that they can possibly sneak by the Rockets.
Yeah.
But overall, even though we just talked about Curry and how I personally still think he is a top 5 point guard, the rest of the team, and also his chemistry with Butler is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Overall, I don't know if they can make a run. I believe that they can beat the Rockets, actually, but I don't know about the run.
Well, yeah, and, this is obviously coming out a little bit later than we're filming it. But last night in our time, they kind of got, destroyed by the Rockets. They got blown out.
Yep. They had a little comeback.
Yeah, a little bit, but not really.
Yeah.
And although they did win Game 1, it wasn't a dominating win that really has me with a lot of confidence for the Warriors. It truly does depend on Steph Curry. If Steph Curry has a great night, the Warriors can be great.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't have a good night, then I think it's over.
I agree. I think overall the Warriors can lock in, possibly win this in 6 or 7. But for the future, I'm not too sure. And the Thunder, I think all that we've talked about so far, all these teams, what they need to fix, if they have a chance, does it even matter? I think the Thunder are just going to steamroll their way through this whole thing. We spoke about the Celtics steamrolling.
Yeah.
The Thunder have an easy path straight to the championship. And then after that, I think they just have it in the bag.
Well, yeah, if they do face the Celtics in the championship, I made sure to check this. They beat the Celtics both times they played them. So there's no real challenge for the Thunder here in the playoffs because they have such a great team. And it's kind of like how the Celtics beat everyone last year. The Thunder are so dominating, so they're going to destroy everyone, and they are right now. And is it fun to watch? Yeah. Is it a little boring? Yeah. But if it is a Celtics-Thunder final, it should be great games to watch, even if it is a little boring.
I think this is what I'm expecting out of this playoff is familiar to what we saw in March Madness earlier this year, where it's all the 1 seeds, all those big guys, 1 and 2 seeds, but all those big teams. But then that leads to a lot of good games later in the playoffs, and I think we're going to see that in the championship with Thunder and Celtics or Cavs. Also, I want to say that a lot of little role players have been doing a lot for the Thunder. I think that's what's really brought them together to be so dominant. Obviously, we know SGA is going to perform. We know Jalen Williams is going to perform. Lou Dort has been performing surprisingly well, and I love Lou Dort. I think a lot of the team is coming together, and I really think that they're just going to go all the way, and there's no other option.
Yeah, I mean, they're dominating on every end. They play amazing offense, of course, and then they also defend the ball. They force turnovers, and it's just going to be easy for them.
I think that's all we have for you today, so we'll wrap things up here. I'm John Valentini.
And I'm Alex Brosky. That'll do it for this episode of Herricks Sports Zone. Thanks for watching.
This is Herricks Sports Zone.